What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this one, we got Sadhguru debates Jewish rabbi in Los Angeles, California. I'm kind of excited about this. I think this is going to be a really good video. Absolutely love Sadhguru. I love debates. I'm sure the Jewish rabbi is going to have valid points as well. So this should be a very intriguing video. But before we dive into this, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you like to support the channel by becoming a member, all you gotta do is hit that join button to receive your exclusive benefits. Let's get to it.
See, it's not a question of…
just say yes to one of my questions. Tell me right, you got it right, Rabbi. I'm working here. I think that, when I speak to our high school students, I always tell them that the indispensable quality to live a good life is courage. Because what you're describing actually takes a lot of courage. It's not easy to be able to change your ideas.
Agreed.
It's not easy to be able to change the pattern of your life, and you have to have a certain amount of courage to allow someone to trample on your ideas.
Agreed.
Because fear is a very powerful motivator in that drive to self-preservation.
See, we have given lots of significance to various psychological modes and moods that our intelligence takes. We can call it fear, we can call it courage, we can call it love, we can call it hate. But it is just different shades that your mind takes at different times. All this is only because it is in constant compulsive reaction to something around you.
I feel that.
In reaction, if somebody is nice to you, you fall in love with them. If somebody is nasty to you, you hate them. Like this, in reaction, so many things are happening. This is a psychological and social phenomena. This is not an existential reality.
Love is not an existential reality.
It is what's happening within you, it's your emotion.
What is it? Give me an existential reality that doesn't happen within you.
Well, life is. You're alive right now, this is existential.
Well, it's pretty in you, though, the life, right? I mean, I don't know, the modes of life, the only thing that I have a problem with in the way you said it is you said it's just the way your mind… And it seems to me that…
Let me put it
that
this
love
way.
is a profound reality in people's lives, as is thought or learning or all these things that may seem transient, but are in fact, I think, deeply rooted in the human experience.
Let me come to that. So it's like this. If your body becomes pleasant, we call this health. You want it? Yes. Hello? Yes. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it pleasure. You want it? Yes. I got a bigger yes for that than health. If your mind becomes pleasant, we call this peace.
Yeah.
If it becomes very pleasant, we call it joy.
Facts.
If your emotions become pleasant, we call it love. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it compassion. If your very life energies become pleasant, we call this blissfulness.
Yeah.
If it becomes very pleasant, we call it ecstasy.
Yeah.
If your surroundings become pleasant, we call this success.
Facts.
Only for success, only to make the surroundings pleasant, there is a challenge because you need the cooperation of all the forces which are here. But to make my body pleasant, mind pleasant, emotion pleasant and energies pleasant is 100% my business.
Yeah.
But right now, what is entirely your business, you're trying to handle it like a social phenomena, so it looks so complicated and all the problems associated with it. But actually, you being peaceful, you being loving, you being joyful, every human experience happens from within you. Whether it happens with external stimuli or its own self-start, this is the question. What I'm asking you is, you remember, maybe you don't, you're still a young man.
See, that was pleasant.
I feel like I really love this. Just to go back towards the beginning when he said it does take, and I agree with the rabbi when he said it does take courage to let someone like trample your beliefs and ideals, and like for you to switch up, because I think like the guru said, like all these external things, and I think it's just because maybe your entire family believes this thing, and you were raised to believe this thing, and your partner believes this thing. And when I say thing, I mean like religion or ideal or value, anyone you want to put. And one day you just like, you know what, I don't know if this is right. I want to look at and see if my perspective changes. I want to look outwards. I want to question things. And then when you start questioning things, it's like all those people around you who so strongly believe in that ideal, that value, that religion, who so strongly believe, it almost feels like they start to question you in a sense. They don't understand. Like, and they're trying to push you back toward, but now you're questioning. It's like it takes courage to go against everyone that you know and love, and not that you're going against them, but you're questioning the same belief, value, or ideal religion that they have, and they have no questions about it. They are undoubted. So it does take courage, because in you doubting those beliefs, I feel like to them it almost feels like you're doubting their beliefs, and so that's where I tell you, it absolutely takes courage to step out and um, question values, question beliefs, question religion, question these things that you grew up believing your entire life. So, and then I just love Sadhguru. Sadhguru basically saying that like there's so many things that we are in charge of internally. Like, of course, existential stuff happens outside of us that may change our emotions, but at the end of the day, it is our emotions. Like, it is under our control how we react to situations. There's that one thing that he says success, because it depends on all these other factors, but everything else that he was saying, it was like that's internal. I was like, oh, that's facts.
So, if you had a car in 1950s, you would park it on the slope and in the morning you need two people to push the car. Later on in 60s, crank start, you need one more person to help you. Today everything is self-start, you have a remote which starts your car these days. Now you're driving a car which doesn't even start, it just goes.
Facts.
So, it's just upgradation of technology.
I ain't never heard. Is that see? They be using words I ain't never heard of. Upgradation. Upgradation. That's an actual word. I gotta Google it because I love some guru, but I ain't never heard this word in my entire existence. Upgradation. I feel like I'm stupid, bro. Well, I guess you learn something new every single day. I guess you learn something new, and upgradation will be added to my vocabulary from now on.
So I'm saying, would you like your peacefulness, your joyfulness, your love, your blissfulness, your ecstasy be on self-start or push-start? This is something you have to make up your mind on.
So, I'm gonna summarize back to you and you tell me if I understood what I heard. You're trying to return people's almost ownership of their own states of being to inside themselves, rather than assume that they have to come from the outside or rely on the outside for them to feel the way they feel.
Yes.
This is part one, is that correct?
I would just change one word in that question. It's not a state of being. Me being peaceful is not my state of being. Me being loving is not my state of being. Me being joyful is not my state of being. It's just my thought and emotion playing pleasantly. It's like today, the weather's great. Similarly, my inner climate is doing great right now. This is not a state of being. We must understand this. This being word is being used everywhere as if it's a quantity. People say this being, that being. Being is not some kind of a quantity. It's like I'm speaking. This is an activity. This is in motion. Only if I speak, there is speaking. Only if I walk, there is walking. Only
Okay.
if I be, there is being.
Okay.
Well, you be.
Huh?
You be, though, right? I can, and so I'm not fully persuaded yet by that distinction, but nonetheless, what is interesting in part is that you do actually spend an enormous amount of time and energy, though, trying to make the external world more pleasant for people. The best example is the River Project, which is a remarkable accomplishment and enormously ambitious, and all about making the external world better.
I feel like
So just
yeah,
ensuring that…
but I don't know. I feel like yeah, you can spend a great amount of time and energy trying to make the external world better. But I feel like still at the end of the day, it's up to people, their reaction. Maybe some people don't like it. So maybe their emotions upset them. Maybe some people love it and they get excited. But at the end of the day, while yeah, this thing that you're doing may excite or upset people, it's still their emotions to control in a sense. If that makes sense.
tomorrow our children have water to drink, is it very ambitious?
It is today. I mean, you wouldn't think so, but well,
No, I'm asking…
the scale of work that
That is there. There is a scale because there is a scale of disaster unleashed by people. But otherwise, to look at it simply, ensuring that there is water for your children to drink, is it very ambitious or is it very natural?
Natural.
People have become so unnatural that they don't care tomorrow's generation whether they have water to drink or not. So, I think it's very natural, it's very
I
human
think
for you
people
to…
have just gotten to the point where they want the their bloodline, next generation in their bloodline to have all the water, and they don't really care about all the rest of the generation getting access to the water. They rather give their next generation way more water than they could ever drink than share that water with others. I think it's gotten to that point, which is sad when you put it in that way. But at the same time, like I would love to give my child as much water as humanly possible as well. If it makes sense.
respond to these things. But the essence of work is not in that. These are unfortunate needs of our times in which we exist. If I was here 100 years ago, I wouldn't be talking about rivers for sure. So rivers are not my project. Unfortunately, I see a disaster unfolding, so something has to be done about it. When I just stepped out, this is a 30-day journey where I drove 9,300 kilometers personally myself.
God dang.
And we had 142 events in these 30 days
Oh, wow.
and 182 media interviews, and 162 million people responded. The largest ever movement on the planet. 162 million people responded to this, and we changed the policy. The government policy towards rivers has been changed in India because of this Rally for Rivers.
yeah, I think that deserves, yes.
No, it's okay. But the important thing is this, why that many people responded? People were asking me, Sadhguru, you got the whole nation together, all the opposition parties, all political rivals, everybody came together for this one thing. I said, see, when I look at it, everybody knew this needs to happen.
Yes.
But they need a fool to bell the cat. They found me.
They need a fool to bail the cat. I guess I don't really get that statement. They need a fool to bail the cat. Basically, they just needed someone to take the initiative, is what I'm going to assume it means. And Sadhguru was that guy. They knew what needed to happen, but no one was stepping up to take the initiative and making it happen. And Sadhguru was the guy.
Is your message, your your essential message about life and how to change your life and how to improve your life different in different places? Do you go to Beverly Hills and see a different need than you see?
That's a good.
In a tribal village in India.
I feel like,
No,
yeah.
not at all.
Oh.
They would like to think they're different, but they're not. They just complicate simple things. If I go to a tribal village, directly those ladies will just come and tell me what's their problem. If I come to Beverly Hills, they go round and round and round, take 3 days to tell me what's the problem.
I feel you.
Welcome to my hood, Sadhguru. And how do you, because I think that this is actually something that all of us do struggle with, this compulsiveness, this inability to let go of things that we know on some level we should be able to let go of.
Yes.
How do you advise us or help us to let go of those things that we know are almost haunting us sometimes?
So let us understand the fundamentals of compulsiveness, where it comes from. See, everything that's physical in this universe, from a single atom to the cosmic nature of things, everything that's physical is naturally in cyclical motion. In atom, things going around. In the cosmos, it's going around, solar system is going around. Our own bodies are cycles. We are born out of the cycles of our mother's bodies.
Yeah.
So, the moment you're identified with the physicality of who you are cyclical in nature. What is cyclical is compulsive. What is cyclical has taken a compulsive pattern. It has to do the same things again and again. You try as hard as you want, it will not go. You will give up one and hang on to another. I hope with the Jewish rabbi a joke is allowed.
A Jewish rabbi, actually, a joke is mandatory.
Yes,
so.
okay, that's good. This happened. It once happened that Shankaran Pillai was working in an office and his office colleague asked for a lift, a young woman. So he took her in the car and he was driving and suddenly he became like an octopus, that his limbs were all over her. So she pushed him away and said, "You fool, I thought you were a decent fellow. What are you trying to do?" He said, "I'm sorry, I gave up smoking." So, if you try to beat compulsiveness with force, you will switch from one cycle to another cycle, another cycle to another cycle. Keeps happening.
Yeah.
Fundamental thing is this, you are so strongly identified with your own physical nature, inevitably you will be cyclical, do whatever you want. So this is why what spiritual means is that your experience of life becomes… something within you becomes larger than your physicality. Physicality includes your thought and emotion. This is…
Yes, no, I mean, what I was going to say, two things. First of all, I think when people talk about whether they're religious or not religious, I actually don't believe that's the distinction. The distinction between people are materialists and non-materialists. That is, those who believe that non-material things are real and spiritual realities are real. And the reason that I bring this up in part is because I know that one of the things we had talked about addressing is the question of mysticism. And it seems to me that both our traditions share a belief that the world that you can see and touch and feel is not all there is. And just now, as I understood you, you were appealing to the non-physical parts of ourselves as a sort of antidote to the over-reliance on the physical part of cyclical compulsiveness.
See, it's not a question of…
just say…
I just say yes to what yes. I feel like Sadhguru, and I love it about him. But he always like, because I guess they're simple things, but he finds a way to like I don't know, word it or put in an example or an antidote to make it easy for everyone to understand rather than just saying yes or no to a question, which I do appreciate. And when he's talking about these cyclical things, like the physical nature of like, yeah, you have one compulsiveness, which is smoking. You feel compelled to smoke, like it's an addiction. You give up smoking, and another addiction comes up, right? Another addiction takes its place. But I guess once you reach a certain point that everything is cyclical in nature, you're not like addicted to one thing or another. Like you have control in a sense. Because for us to let things go, and he's right, a lot of us, including me, definitely struggle with letting things go. It's very hard to let things go when you've held on to them for so long. Um, but in a sense, it is in our within our control to let things go. Um, but we'll let them keep debating and keep talking. Both of them seem very knowledgeable, and I'm just appreciative to get to sit here and listen to them.
Say yes to one of my questions. Tell me right. You got it right, Rabbi. I'm working here.
Yes, but yes, but the thing is, it's not something that we have to believe in. See, none of us were born like this as we are.
Yes.
We came like this, we became like this. This is just accumulation of the food that we've eaten, or it's just a piece of the planet. Most people don't get this point till you bury them. Even that in Los Angeles I feel is difficult because I heard they're being buried in a concrete vault.
Really?
So even in burial, you will still not know that you're part of the earth. So this is something that you gathered. Anything that you gather, at the most you can claim is yours. You cannot claim it's me. I can say, this glass of water is my glass of water. But if I say this is me, you know that I'm a case. You know for sure. So if you say this is my body, yes, it is right now, till we bury you. But if you say this is me, you're a case. Your only comfort is everybody around you is a case.
Everyone around you.
This is how it is in an asylum. The only nutcase is the doctor.
How do you shift that perspective, though? How do you learn to see yourself as continuous with everyone and everything?
So it's like this. I'm agreeing with that.
We're good, we're good.
See, this is my body, that's your body, distinctly separate.
Yes.
At least right now. Till both of us are buried. Till then, this is my body, that's your body, very clear. This is my mind and that's your mind, very clear. But there is no such thing as my life and your life. There's no such thing. This is like, I'm sure at some stage in your life, when you're in school at least, you blew some soap bubbles.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
So that's my bubble, this is your bubble. Poop, it goes. There is no such thing as this is my air and this is your air.
True.
This is a living cosmos. You captured some, I captured some. How significant a life you become. When I say significance, not how significant you are in the society or in the world. It's not about that. As a life you become significant because you have captured that much of life which overwhelms the puniness of your own mind and physical body. Within you, the life that you've captured is a larger dimension than the body that you've gathered and the information that you've gathered in the form of your mind.
Okay.
When the life that you are is bigger than your mind and your body, no teaching is needed. You're simply conscious about that, that's all. It's not that you believe that, that's a living reality for you. So my whole work is to bring people to a dimension of experience where the life that they are is larger than the mind that they are. Life that they are is larger than the body that they are. So you don't have to give a teaching or or a kind of a belief system. Naturally, what is most dominant becomes you, within you.
I feel like I may need help with you guys in the comment section on that point, because I feel like I struggle to understand a bit how like the life that you are like is bigger than the mind. And I guess I'm like not fully understanding this one, but to give people so much experience that the life that you have captured is bigger than like the thoughts in your mind that you have. I don't know. That one usually I understand Sadhguru and I love, but that one, and I'm sure it makes complete sense. My head is trying to wrap itself around it, and I'm struggling. So y'all drop it in the comment section. Talk to me, please.
And the way that you bring people to that dimension of being or dimension of existence is…
See, as there is a science and technology for external well-being, there is a whole
Yeah.
science and technology for inner well-being. The
Yeah.
problem that happens in every tradition is, over a period of time, generation after generation, it gathers moss. So much frill it gathered, nobody knows where the skirt is.
There was a French Catholic writer, Charles Piguet, who said everything begins in mysticism and ends in politics. And I think
feel
that in
that.
religious traditions, that's exactly…
Yes.
there's a great deal of truth to that. So how do you scrape the barnacles off the boat or the moss off the tradition and identify that kernel which can actually expand people's sense of
That's a good question.
what they are a part of, but what they are only a small part of?
I think I came with a huge advantage that I'm completely uneducated, refuse to be educated. Why I'm saying this is, it is not easy to remain uneducated. Because from the moment you're born, the moment somebody sees a child, all the adults want to pounce upon the child,
Yes.
wanting to teach something that's not worked in their life.
True.
Parents, teachers, every kind of people. The moment they see a child, they want to teach the child something.
True.
It's very clear. When you look at the child, the exuberance and the joy that the child has and the adults are the way they are, obviously it's not worked for them, whatever they know.
True.
But they
True.
want to teach it to the child. So I refused this one influence on me. I just remained as I was, uninfluenced by parents, teachers, society, religion around me, politics around me. I kept myself away from that. If you keep yourself away from identifying yourself with just about anything around you, anything, including your genetics, your society, religion, politics, economics, whatever is happening around you, if you're not identified with anything, it is natural for human intelligence to find its way. Nobody has to teach anybody anything. If you…
That is, bro, that is such facts. Like, geez Louise. And me having a 5-month-old child, that analogy, that example is absolutely perfect because I get it. I definitely get it. Yeah. As your child continues to grow instantly, like everybody wants to teach them things, to try to teach them certain beliefs, certain ideals, certain things that happened to them in their life that worked for them and certain things that didn't work for them. They want to teach that child. And I guess the moment that you start taking in all this, you become educated. But I guess the problem is that when you like, of course, you want to believe the teachers because you're like, they're teachers. They went to school. They supposed to know this information, or you want to believe your parents because, right, your parents love you. They only want what's best for you, and you want to be influenced by them and their teachings and how they perceive life. That, and you start to believe them so strongly that you don't like figure out answers for yourself. You don't question things yourself or seek answers for yourself. You become educated, and once you become educated, it's really hard to become uneducated. It's very hard to drop all those beliefs. It's very hard to drop everything that you learn from society, parents, teachers, everybody around you your entire life. So Sadhguru's right that the best way is to stay like uneducated. And when you stay uneducated, when you don't have the answers for certain things, he's saying instinctively you find a way to get those answers. You go and seek those answers without anybody having to teach you them. I feel like when you go and seek them, you seek them in earnest because there's not any bias coming from anybody. Man, this is incredible, dog. I'm loving this right now.
Just make sure children don't get identified with you. Hello? That you don't want that. You want them identified with you. Because it's your legacy, it's not a new life. It's your legacy. You want to live after you're dead. You want them to be just like you
Bro,
in so many different
he's
ways.
spot
If you
on.
don't have this problem, if you leave them alone, just nurture them so that they're not influenced by anything, you will see the world will be full of mystics.
I like the way he worded it. I know he about to say I'm not persuaded, but if he makes me like want to just like let my son grow and figure out things for himself and just be there when he needs me, but not influence him in one way or the other, and just kind of see how he grows and see how he continues to find answers. Because right now, yeah, he is uneducated. Like he is a he's when we take him out in the battle or at home, he's just constantly looking around, like seeing his surroundings. Every time you give him something, he doesn't know any better. He's putting it in his mouth, and because he doesn't, he's uneducated right now. But as he continues to put things in his mouth, he learns, well, this doesn't taste like anything. I'm not going to put this in my mouth anymore. And now he knows when I hand him a ball, when he's hungry and I hand him a toy, I don't want toy. I keep crying. When I get in, then he sees the milk, he gets excited. That feeds him. That goes in his mouth. When he's not hungry and I bring the milk, crying, he wants the toy. So he's figuring things out. And man, Sadhguru just that one really got me because that's spot on. Okay, let's see what he's got to say here.
I'm not persuaded. First of all, okay, there are three things that you said that I'm not completely persuaded of. One is that you never learned anything. When you say you're uneducated, you spoke a language, you knew your neighborhood that you lived in, you learned how to eat and what foods to make. You learned lots of things from the people around you. There's no way you could have survived had you not learned. That's one. Wait.
I feel like, yeah, he's spot on, but I just think where Sadhguru is coming from is just in a sense of not being attached to someone else's beliefs or values that they tried to teach you, not being attached to one way someone tried to teach you and saying this is the right way and this is what I believe. And to me, that's kind of what he's saying. Like, because when you do go to figure it out, of course you're gonna have help from those around you, but you're not like my dad knows everything or my mom knows everything or this is what my teacher says, so this has to be right. You're uneducated in a sense of I'm gonna go find that answer for myself.
I'm not done. Number two, I want you to know that when I had a child, I didn't want to teach her the ways that I was that didn't work for me. I rather wanted to teach her the joy that I found in the world and the beauty. And I teach her poetry and I teach her wonder. And I think a lot of what I teach her expands her. I'm sure I've taught her some things that she would say, gee, I wish you hadn't taught me that. But I really do believe that most parents want to teach their children not the things that didn't work for them, but rather the things that they found in the world that are extraordinary and wonderful.
No,
Yeah.
I did not mean didn't work in that sense. See, the only thing about the adults or the parents is, the only qualification you have is you landed here a few years earlier.
Yes.
All right? Nothing else. Hello? Isn't that so?
Yes.
You just came here a little early. So what do you know? You know a few survival tricks that the child does not know.
Yes.
If you want to teach them business, you want to teach them how to survive in the world, fine, you know better than them, of course. But as life, the reason why everybody loves a child is because child is a better life than the adult, in every way. Just as
Explain.
life, maybe he doesn't have your intellect, maybe he's not accumulated the nonsense that you've accumulated, maybe he does not know how to survive in the world, but as a life, he is far more exuberant and alive than you are.
Fact.
That is why it doesn't matter whose child, when you see a child, you light up, because it's life.
Yeah.
Even the grave-faced people get ignited. All right?
You know?
So, when I say teaching children something that did not work in their life, it is not that your survival tricks did not work, obviously they worked for you, that's what you want to teach, because you're concerned about the child's survival, all right? You're concerned, what will happen to him, this is the only thing. See, when people have children, they only have moments of joy, rest of the time it's only anxiety, what will happen, what will happen, what will happen.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's all about survival.
Yeah.
So if
That's
you…
facts.
I mean, I'm trying to look at this comprehensively.
No.
Even if you just examine the prayers on the planet, this says everything about the adults. 95% of the prayers on the planet are just about, dear God, give me this, give me that, save me, protect
Dang.
me. Does it sound like survival or divine expansion? Maybe only 5% is there. 95% is
Yeah.
only save me, protect me, give me this, give me that,
Yeah.
isn't it? This is all survival process, outsourced.
No, I mean, yeah. I feel like because I live in a survival mindset, like my brain is just like it's literally in survival mode nonstop in terms of like stresses, in terms of bills, in terms of making money, and in these terms, like I live like my brain is in constant survival mode about making it to the next one, making it to the yeah, and then the prayers, he's 100% right, dog. And in the child's life, he's not. Yeah, they don't have to think about none of that. They just get to be, and I guess that's why they say like enjoy being a child while you can, because it feels like as you continue to grow, as you get educated, um, and as you experience more life, you start to lose that exuberance. You start to lose that joy, that yeah, that living part of you. That's not about survival, but that's about like living, about thriving, about expansion, about that's such facts. That spark in you. You lose that spark because now you're in the world of adults where you gotta pay bills, where you gotta survive. And you forget that little child inside of you dies. That little child that wasn't worried about none of that. That just every day was like an adventure. Every day was a day that you wasn't planned, but you were gonna make the most out of it. You were gonna have a blast. You were gonna have fun. Dang, dang! Hey, this one hit my soul. This hit my heart, bro. What the hell?
Well, I admit that you are the first person that I know who preaches a desire to uneducate people. And I understand what you're saying, that there is a pure life to a baby, but I don't believe that pure lifedness can exist in an adult the same way it does in
I
a
agree with
child.
that. I do agree with
I
that.
said the same way that it does in a child. No, look, you're a man, in all seriousness, you're a man who has political savvy, you've written books, you travel and speak. There is a certain sophistication to your lack of sophistication that I think is quite right. that seems to be pretty clear. I'm not suggesting, oh, you're just like everybody else. But I also think that maybe you are overplaying the extent to which civilization is a bad idea.
No.
I think it's usually a pretty good idea.
Okay.
Often.
No. Civilization is organization of basic human intent. Just an organized structure. But organization can also get suffocating for the growth
No question.
of an individual life.
Yes.
When you are 5 years of age, let's say, when all of you were 5 years of age, how joyful, exuberant and alive you were. And how you are today. Though for all of you, I can see life has worked out very well, better than you would have imagined for many of you. In spite of that, compared to how you were 5 years of age and today how you are, has it gone down or not?
It's not even close.
See, I want you to understand.
For me, it's not even close. And I consider myself like to be like a happy person, like a positive, excited person. But if I were to look back on when I was 5 years of age, the joyfulness and exuberance and everything I felt, it's not even close to how it is today. Although I'm happy, I love my life, I love my family. Like every day I wake up is a blessing. But in a sense, it's when I was 5, I didn't have the stresses and the worries and the survival instincts, and I didn't gain an accumulation of things taught to me by school or society or parents or any of that. Right? I just got to live. I just got to live with no worries or no stresses. But that is because of like my parents had everything taken care of around me while they were in their survival mindset. It allowed me to be free, in a sense. Wow. Sadhguru's spot on, man.
With age, only physical agility can go down. Aliveness need not go down. Hello? So are you trying to die in installments? That's all I'm asking you.
It seemed foolish to do it all at once, so I thought I would do it gradually over time. But what I would say is also I'm not sure that I would privilege aliveness over everything else because I might be less alive than I was when I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go back to being 5 because I have so much now that I did not have as a 5-year-old, and some of it, like sad memories, ways in which I've hurt other people, ways in which I've hurt myself, some of it is stuff that may diminish my life, but I also think has made me wiser, broader, more empathetic, more sympathetic, deeper, all of those things. So I don't see this as a one-way street.
Say essentially, you are trying to, prescribe some amount of suffering for everybody so that they become wiser.
No, I'm saying that a certain amount of suffering is inevitable, and once it happens to you, I'm not sure, you wouldn't choose it, but I'm not sure that once it happens, when you look back on it, you would say, it didn't actually allow me in some ways to deepen myself. I don't think that that's unfamiliar to your religious tradition. It certainly isn't to mine.
No, I was just about to clarify that. When I said I came with an advantage, I did not belong to any tradition as such. I did not identify with any tradition, nor they could put me into any tradition. This is all I did. I did not identify myself with anything. Just to tell you to what extent. I was around maybe 12 years of age, and in India, our mothers and parents generally, they're not given to every day profess, I love you, this and that. There is no verbal expression of love. They live for us. We know the question of whether they love us or not doesn't arise because Their lives are about us. So it never occurs whether they love us, don't love us, such things don't even exist. It is just their lives are dedicated to us, so we know they live for us. So, when I'm around 12 years of age, some tender moment and not exactly I love you, but in some way she expressed her affections towards me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in that mode at that time, struggling, you know, that I made sure that I don't belong anywhere, but at the same time I'm extremely involved with everything.
Mm.
So I just asked, it was a natural question for me. I asked her, suppose I was born in the next house, would you still feel
Mm.
this way about me? She just teared up. I didn't know what I said wrong. I thought I just asked a question. But somehow she just teared up and went away. And after 10 minutes she came back and she did something very strange. She came and touched my feet and she was all in tears. I didn't know what to say. I said, what did I do wrong? I just asked a question. But when I look back later on, when things changed within myself, I saw that she saw the point, she got it in such a profound way,
Yeah,
because it is true that her affections are simply because I am her son, not as a life, not as just another being.
true,
If I was
true.
somebody else, she wouldn't feel the same way. When she realized that, she just kind of, you know, an expansion is also cracking up, you know.
I
The
mean, that's
eggshell has to
true.
crack for something new to come out. So, I just kept… See, if your intelligence is not aligned or associated or identified with anything, it is natural for human intelligence to seek relentlessly.
Yes.
Seeking relentlessly
Mm.
means without any purpose. See, the difference between… because you mentioned the word mysticism, the difference between mysticism and other ways of doing things is, everybody is trying to find something. A scientist is trying to find something. Everybody, somebody who's walking the street right now is trying to find something of their own needs. Every human being, every animal is trying to find something, maybe food, maybe shelter, maybe
Yeah.
whatever. So if you have a torchlight, if you have a… what do you call this? Flashlight. Flashlight. If you have a flashlight, you have focused light, you're trying to find
Yes.
something. You only see this person or this person or this person. What mysticism means is, you blew your flashlight, it became a flare. You saw everything the way it is.
Mm.
And after that, you're never the same again.
To me, I get it. I feel like to me, I get both of where they're coming from. I get the rabbi in a sense of like the person that you are now is an accumulation of all the memories and all the things that you have learned over the years, and like yeah, like a certain amount of suffering and pain is inevitable, and that suffering and pain does teach you. It does help you to learn to empathize and sympathize. It does help you deepen. Um, but I also understand where Sadhguru's coming from in a sense of saying like now you don't have that spark that you had as a child to live life with such joy, with such exuberance, just being so alive. You lose that spark as you continue to grow, and the more educated you become, the more people who teach you things, and the more things that stick. That kind of takes away you seeking those answers for yourself if you attach yourself to to the answers that you're given by these people, and the answers that you're given by society or teachers or your parents or the world, like that. If they just tell you what's what, it's like, and that's their perception of what's what, that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. But if you're not given answers, if you're left to figure things out on your own, that means you're going to constantly question so many different things. And by questioning so many different things, you are going to seek answers for all of these different things. And relentlessly seeking answers, you'll figure life out for yourself, right? Because I think when I had my child, I always talk, and I even talk about it now. And I was like, yeah, like I had to continue the legacy. Like, yeah, I had to continue the bloodline, the next generation. Like I look at my son, I'm like, you're my legacy. Like, I want you to be greater than I could ever be. And I do want him to be greater than anything I could have ever even imagined of being. But I've got to let him figure that greatness out on his own, because I reached a certain level and I can only teach him to a certain level. But he, in order to go higher, he's got to figure that out for himself. And what if he doesn't want to attain success in my perception of what success is? What if he has a different perception and he thinks that's the highest? Like, who am I to stand in that way? Like that. I don't know. This was really good. I love these videos because they make me like question a lot of thoughts that I have and a lot of the things that I perceive. Um, and it's like, yeah, like I want him to figure things out. Like, of course, keep him safe from danger. Like, I ain't gonna let you put your hand on the stove or let you fall off the couch or anything like that. But I do want you. I want him to grow without being super influenced by those around him, so that he learns to seek answers for himself and doesn't depend on someone always giving him the answers, not influenced by someone to live the same way they lived or have the same values or beliefs that they have, but that he creates these things for himself. That was crazy. That was amazing. Like, geez, I feel like my brain is kind of expanded a little just from hearing that. That was awesome. That was truly, truly awesome. That's all we have. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, check out the next. I'll see y'all next time.